Ashley, I want to start with you. I'm looking at the approval rating on my screen now of President Biden. It's right above 50%. It's not terribly strong. If you look at the approval rating for his vice president, it's even lower, right? But we're having this conversation about a vice president. It's so important. What is going on with the Democratic Party?
Well, I think that Carly can probably answer this one a little bit better than I can in regards to what we think is going to happen with President Biden. But I do think that what they're facing in regards to replacing President Biden, if he would step down, is the fact that the vice president is even less popular than President Biden is right now. So that's going to be the heir apparent, so to speak, would not be an easy pick. And then if you do go beyond the current vice president, then the governors or senators that are currently in office that their names are being floated, whether it's the governor of California or Pennsylvania or Michigan, a lot of them haven't been battle tested countrywide. And so there is a big type of risk that if they would start a contested convention and start pitting these candidates against each other.
Well, I mean, Carly, when you talk about a contested convention, who wins in that scenario?
The Democratic Party does not want the chaos that could come with a contested convention. I do, though, think it would be very unlikely that the Democratic Party could not appoint Kamala Harris, who's already the vice president, who would be the first female and Black presidential nominee. It would be very historic for the Democratic Party, and I think there's not really a scenario where she does not end up being the nominee if that were to be the case. That said, we do know that her favorability rating has struggled throughout the term of the administration, though that is something that you see happen with vice presidents. And I do think that Kamala has been out there this entire time making the case for Biden on his behalf and connecting with key voting blocs that are important to Biden in terms of young voters and women and people of color. And I think that if this were to happen, she would be the person that would be stepping up.
But Carly, I'm certain that you saw the Wall Street Journal piece on the vice president. And the fact is she's out there and she's connecting with people. She's making multiple campaign efforts, but it's not landing. I mean, she just doesn't have the popularity. But you're saying that she's a sure bet.
Well, I think the popularity thing is there's a few things happening. First of all, Kamala, for better or for worse, is to some extent tied to Joe Biden. She's the vice president and he's the president. And so as Biden's ratings struggle, Kamala's does as well. And yes, her ratings have consistently been below Joe Biden's. But in terms of the fact that she has already had a national presence for 4 years, she was on Joe Biden's ticket that did get elected president and vice president in 2020. And given her role in the position she's had so far, I can't imagine a world where the Democratic Party passes over her. But they're aware of the fact that it's also not a clean and easy thing. And I think that's part of the conversation that the Democratic Party is having right now.
Yep. All right, Ashley, let's go over to the GOP side. This is a list of candidates that we've been talking about. When you talk about a voter group that you want to target, what group is it, and what vice presidential pick would best suit that? So, for example, are you trying to court women? Are you trying to court the suburban vote? What does President Trump need?
What he needs are suburban women, actually, and is always his weakest area. And so there was for a long time the thought, or there was pressure on President Trump's campaign. Does he pick someone like a Nikki Haley who was picking up those type of votes? The thing that's been interesting is, especially in the last 72 hours, is does President Trump need to pick someone like that because of his numbers going so much in the positive direction of him potentially winning? Or does he just pick a safe bet, someone in the middle, someone like a Governor Doug Burgum, someone that doesn't really ruffle feathers either way? I think that he does, at least standing right now. Obviously, there's 2 weeks until the convention. He did say that he would be making the decision just right before the convention. And it may be someone that's not even on this list at all. I mean, one thing that we all know is that President Trump loves the drama. And, you know, I always say this is like The Apprentice happening in front of our eyes for vice president. I think that it could be someone that's not even being talked about at all. But I do think, going back to your original question, he does need suburban women, and he does need to pick up the moderate side of the Republican Party. However, the difference between this election and others in regards to the vice president is the fact that President Trump only has one term. So whoever's vice president will definitely be the heir apparent going into the next election in 2028.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.